Hi everyone, my dear followers and everyone new on this channel. I'm Katya, who are you? And I'm back here with my new microphone. It's a simple thing, I know, and as a vlogger with almost 100,000 followers on YouTube, Hola soy Katya in Spanish, and a couple of those in Russian, in English, and about Russian language. I've got 4 YouTube channels and some previous ones as well, which I don't post videos to right now. I know that I should have had it, but I did use one with the cables and the one that, well, basically I asked for the same one for my birthday, but my little sister said that she didn't find it and she bought me a different one. But the sound of this one doesn't compare. I don't know how it sounds right now. I hope it sounds well and you enjoy the sound, because I really liked it. A couple of days ago I played piano and sang some covers. And actually the topic for today is something that I think that for you it will be, I don't know, maybe new, maybe it will be just an update of how things are in the year 2025. Right, because I come from a small town in Russia. I come from Kostroma. It's 300 kilometers from here. 300, yeah. So it's quite close to the center. It's considered central Russia. It's part of the Golden Ring. So one of the oldest cities, small towns. 300,000 people live there. And I mean, normally, like, I used to have a mentality of someone from a small town, and I grew up there. And yeah, maybe, well, I was born in the 90s. Of course, my parents have stories to tell about that, how they ate onions and made soup out of onions and potatoes, and then my mom would have a yogurt and give it to me, but just lick the cover, and so it was her meal, things like that. And I remember as a kid, I had chicken and puree just for holidays. Yeah, we always ate some home food. There's a zagotovki thing, the conserved meal for winter. And when I was 16, I moved to Saint Petersburg to study in Saint Petersburg State University. And only then I realized that the diet in my hometown actually was not healthy at all. And just the things that they gave me, of course, it's like the way they cared about me. And when I moved to St. Petersburg, we went there by car, and half of the car, part of my luggage and things, were those conserved meals, the food that actually contains a lot of salt. If these pickles and tomatoes, I think it was like some soups pre-cooked, that you just put the thing to the I forgot English, to the pot, and then you add just potatoes and meat. Back then I ate meat, today a little bit less. And yeah, so you have food basically, and a lot of jams, varenia, which are, well, they contain a lot of sugar. And I just maybe gained some conscious about that. And back then the Russian social media called VK, Vkontakte, was the most popular one. It's like our Facebook back then. And so there were a lot of groups, like group chats there. And for some reason, like in my hometown, and maybe the generation of my grandparents, because my father was born in Nizhny Novgorod, and the whole family, well, the majority of them lived there. My grandfather, so the father of my father, had, well, they were 10 kids in total, so it was a large family. And yeah, maybe the whole family, what I wanted to say, that they always were over obesity, so they got obesity, right? So extra weight, and not just extra weight, they were like quadrants, like this big, 100 kilos, and like it was the whole family like that. So maybe there was something about the diet, about the way people perceived food back then. I know that of course, it has to deal with the science, it has to do with what we know, and obviously nowadays, I've got so many friends who go to sleep at 10 or 11 and they really eat healthy food. So young people nowadays care a lot more about their health and other habits, not only the food. But yeah, when I moved to St. Petersburg, I just realized there was something like a huge difference there in small towns, and mostly about this period in life of women when they give birth, and so those years you kind of have the right to gain weight, and it was considered to be okay, and partly it's true, but then and on the contrary, there were these communities of VK that were called 49 kilos, so extreme to the other point. But the popularity, like accounts of young mothers with fit bodies, started gaining popularity. So yeah, I also since the year 2011. I do sports at home. I discovered videos of Rebecca Louise Fitness on YouTube, and I started reading that, there was this concept of getting dry, right? So you eat special food with low fat and carbs and the normal thing of those who take care of their shape. And super quickly, like in 2 or 3 months in St. Petersburg, I didn't have extra weight, but I was always, as a kid, I used to have some extra weight. So when I was 10, 11, I weighted more than right now. Now I weigh like 53, 54. And then it was like 56, 57. And when I was 16 and moved to St. Petersburg, I think I just had a little bit extra, so it wasn't perfect. And I realized how many things, well, maybe, I don't know from where you're watching this, maybe your diet is not healthy at all, but just getting to know that really changed my life. Since then, I just had some knowledge about it. And comparing other aspects, yesterday it happened to me that I took a new way of transportation here in Moscow. Basically, I can see it from my window, and I will leave you the link here below, because I made a vlog in Spanish yesterday, and you can watch like how it looks like, right? I talk about my first stand-up there, and also showed this new way of transportation, which is basically a kind of a boat. So it's a public transport, but here in Moscow it's like super modern. It just is present in just some parts of the city that on the Moscow River you can take a public transport for $2, one ride, and basically it is -10 right now. And looking out of my window, I always looked that throughout the winter I could still see this transportation over there. I was curious, but I thought maybe for winter they would stop, and when it gets a bit warmer, then it gets back to normality, so they start going there again. But yesterday I was just walking around after my breakfast, and I saw that there's like this ice everywhere. So it started moving, So the ice just started moving, because normally it's frozen, and then it starts like this. Moving a little bit, and only once in my life I saw it with a mean of transportation, when I went to Baikal for the first time. It was April, and so there is this Baikal is the deepest lake in the world. It's located in Siberia, and during our Trans-Siberian trip we stopped there, and basically there's the lake and there's the Irtysh River, and so on the here where they get connected. Obviously here the river is already not frozen, and the lake is still covered with ice. And so there was this border, and here the ice was breaking down, and it was sunny weather, like not like now. Now it's -10. It used to be +10, but it was so pretty, so the water, this broken white ice, and we could take this boat, but there it was a special boat that you take it. Yeah, so it can travel through the water. It can travel like upon, it has like a special pillow, it's called, upon the ice. So we took a ride around the ice as well. But here it turned out that they break the ice on purpose. They break the ice so that throughout the winter the public transport keeps going. And so when you make a public transport like that in a city as huge as Moscow, I think that it was proposed as an alternative, as a fancy alternative, which is cheap, but it looks so modern. It's just amazing. I enjoyed it a lot. It got a lot of windows everywhere, like in Saint Petersburg. There is touristic boats like that, but they're, they are old and they are not. Nothing has nothing to do with these ones. And here you just pay as normal public transport, well, twice, and more expensive, but it's just so nice. But it doesn't solve the problem of getting faster to a place. I felt like I really needed to travel 2 stops. The river goes like to the right, and it was close to home, and I needed to wait for 20 minutes until it comes like my way, and then I got there. And it turned out that it's not just the stops along the right side of the river, but it crosses and goes like this and goes like this, and like super slow. It was fun because of the ice, the sound that you go through the ice, and so modern and nice, but I got really bored. I thought I might have brought my computer to work there, so if I spent like 40 minutes, I think, for the 4 stops, and I stopped, well, I still got the taxi to go back home. So maybe, and it was empty. It was like, unfortunately, I talked to personnel, and that only tourists take it. Normally throughout the weekend more, but then yesterday was Tuesday. So on Tuesday, I was pretty much alone, and there were like a couple of couples, families, but not. It was quite empty. But what I wanted to say that here there is this kind of transport which is super fancy. Obviously, it's like a large investment made. And I showed it to my friend in St. Petersburg, where I used to live as well for many years. And he was like, oh my God, here in St. Petersburg, we still have the problem with the opening bridges. Opening bridges meaning that there are something that need to be invested. And there's a lot of jokes about comparison. Like they say that Moscow is a separate country. There is the rest of Russia. And normally they would put two cities, St. Petersburg and Moscow. But now it's more like, even St. Petersburg, because when I moved there in 2011, it was like better for life compared to Moscow. Moscow was so busy and was not as modern as right now. Nowadays, the infrastructure and everything here just cannot be compared to St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg got older, their metro system doesn't grow. Here, it's crazy. You can Google it, it's crazy. I thought, okay, maybe when you live in a small city, it's kind of a bit sad when you hear things like that here you can throw money here and there. Obviously, it's about management. It does have reasons for sure, and I'm happy that here you can enjoy things like that. But then obviously the progress goes down to other places. Normally the capital or some big economically developed city grows faster. I saw it in China. Shanghai has nothing to do with Beijing, like infrastructure-wise, for example. It's kind of curious. And maybe for me, you can choose. You can travel around. You can maybe stay most of the time in a place that you enjoy the most. Because for day-to-day life, you don't need this kind of transport in your city just to have a fancy mean of transportation. But then the logistics, when you have kids, obviously, well, maybe because the bridges in St. Petersburg, they get open in summertime and only during the nighttime. So technically, for like only for young people who travel around the night, then yeah, like after a club normally, when I was young and like I was a student, if you're in a city center, you need to travel somewhere like up, basically up this city center. You just have 15 minutes at 3 a.m. or you have to wait until 5 a.m. to get back home. You just have to sit and wait, right? Because maybe you wanted to go back at 1 or at 3, so it kind of limits a bit. But then when you are grown up, I don't think you need it for day-to-day life. Things like that. Well, that would be it for today. Please follow the link to see the whole vlog and enjoy the views from there. Also, you can check out the other channel, which is growing so far, and I'm happy about that. And thanks everyone for watching me here. You hear me practicing English, which helps me a lot. Soon I'd like to have some new interviews and maybe have some new kind of content for you. My Instagram is Katya. Let's keep in touch and hope you have a nice day. Bye bye.